In this segment, I'd like to talk about some of the technical issues you might encounter. I think maybe the number one service issue that we created a little window for the SD card right under here, so that it would make it convenient when you're upgrading firmware to be able to reach in and replace the SD card. Well, what we didn't realize was that a customer might fidget, and if they fidget and find the hole and feel around in there by pushing on the edge of the chip, of course, that's how you eject them. You might want to just maybe take one of your shipping labels and just cover that hole. It'd be easy to peel off or break when you want to replace the firmware, but perhaps keep their fingers out. In order to make the machine read strips that have been scuffed or damaged or any condition, we put this elaborate calibrating feature in the machine. So the customer that's just bound hundreds of black strips, it's optimized the reading levels for that strip. The next time they go sometimes to bind a white strip, it'll want to recalibrate for the white strip. So it's important that when your customer sees the message calibration, that they patiently just feed the strip again. Another issue we get reports of, and we haven't figured out, understand how to correct it. When the machine first comes out of the box and the clamps are opening, sometimes it
gives a hardware error 10.
Hardware error 10. And we've tried to figure out where this is coming from. We think it may be a little stiction in the lead screw after shipping. It happens pretty rarely, but it does happen. And typically that just happens once, and then it never happens again as long as it's sitting here, maybe until it's shipped again. The number one issue that you're going to get questions about or encounter is going to be the binding strength with different types of paper. As we know, we've shown the machine's phenomenal with bond paper, normal copy paper. You can't beat it. The glue bond is stronger than the sheet itself. The books will last for indefinitely. I've got books bound 25 years ago that are perfect. The issue comes with full bleed, glossy paper, toner right to the edge. More or less a disaster for us. Most important in the whole thing, as soon as the paper starts to become an issue, we need the paper grain in the right direction. So if you don't know about paper grain, you should play around with it, get comfortable with finding the grain direction, because that's the first thing you need to check. And if you tear a sheet down to a square, you can feel the grain direction. That's the way I like it. There's different techniques people use, but I like to just do it by feel. Once it's approximately a square and you bend it, you'll find that the flex is harder in one direction than the other. In this case, it's hard right. It's harder flexing here, easier here, and we always want the strip along the direction where the paper flexes easy. So we want the strip running parallel to the grain. Normal copy paper is always grain long, so the grain is already in this direction, and a lot of customers want to bind in with tabs. Generally speaking, the tabs that are a little lighter weight bind perfectly. Avery makes a line of digital print.
Yes, Avery is great.
Digital print tabs.
Works great with the Fastback.
They're designed to go through copiers and have the tabs printed. No issue whatsoever. It'll work great. So that's maybe your first defense. If they have a problem with tabs, ask them to use the Avery brand or a similar flexible brand that's designed for photocopying. It's those heavy cardstock kind of tabs that'll give a lot of problems.
Yes, and also make sure you fan the paper really good and make sure it's flush when you use tabs.
Yeah. Most likely your number one service call when the customer calls you, they've simply got a strip left in the machine. A misfeed, and then they went ahead and bound another book, and meanwhile the strip has been dragged around in the machine and ends up on a sensor. So before making the drive out to visit the customer, encourage them to open the machine, look inside. If the machine's hot, of course, encourage them to use the tongs and reach in and, take the strip out. It's that simple. Having your phone number, the little sticker that typically everyone puts right here on the machine or right here. Encourage your customer, the new customer, if they run into any issue or they have any problem, encourage them to call.